All right, well, welcome, Ice Nation. This is Friday, March 18th. I hope everybody had an awesome St. Patrick's Day. I see a lot of you guys are exercising right now. A lot of you guys are getting your day started, and that's perfect because this is what I'm going to talk about. So I was in LA for the better part of last week doing some training and hanging out. And on my way home from the airport, instead of listening to music, I happened to turn on a radio station with the pastor giving a sermon. Now, this sermon was about temptation. And as I listened to it, it's about temptation in everyday life. And I started to make this parallel between what we do in Isagenix and the temptation of food, the temptation of cheating on our diets, the temptation of either to work out or not to work out. And it all just made this great parallel. So I wanted to bring it to you this morning and kind of see what you guys fed off of this. So the temptation, it's really the common experience of man, right? There's one thing that every single one of us on this thing have in common. We all have different temptations. Now, when it comes to our diets, everybody's different. Sweets really don't make that big a difference to me. But man, you put a bag of chips in front of me and I'm going to want to finish it. You even have it in the house and I'm going to want to open it. Red wine. That is my nemesis. I notice when I go healthy and I don't drink as much red wine, it's a lot easier for me to stay lean and in shape. Now, red wine's not bad for you. In fact, I think red wine is great in terms of your overall health. But, you know, a 4-ounce serving, what you get in a restaurant versus my pour here, which is more like a 6 to 8 ounce serving. And then I always have 2 to 3 glasses. And if I do that, let's look at it. A regular 4 to 6 ounce serving is about 180 calories. So I have 2 of those. I'm up over 300 calories. If I do that, you know, twice, 3 times a week, look at all the extra calories. Okay? But what we have to realize about temptation is that it's not a temporary thing. It is a lifelong thing. The things that you are tempted to eat now are probably the same things that you were eating when you were 14, maybe 25. I don't know how old you guys, some of you guys are younger, but they don't go away. So what do? Well, if you're craving into temptation, know that it's nobody else's responsibility but yours. And this is where it gets tough. And I've been telling a couple of you, and Angelique has been telling a couple of you guys, that you can't coddle people into success sometimes. Sometimes you just have to say, look, this is your responsibility. You're the one giving into temptation, and therefore you are the one that must bring yourself up out of it. So if I'm going to give a little gospel of working out this morning and health and fitness, if you're the one giving into your weaknesses, whether it's not exercising, going to the gym, whether it's eating the stuff you know you shouldn't be eating on a regular basis, then you are the one responsible for bringing yourself out of it. And those of us who have been in the company for a while, guys, we don't want to give off the impression that we are impervious to temptation. Because I've been in the company for 4 years doesn't mean that I don't struggle with the same things that somebody that's coming in right off the bat is struggling with. Okay? Don't mean that I don't want to eat pizza or that I don't ever want to miss the gym. But here's the fact. Trials in life, right? Sometimes we go through breakups in relationships. Sometimes we go through job changes. Sometimes we go through death of family members. These trials in life, they produce a depth in character, okay? A wisdom and a patience. So on a much smaller level, our body is, we go through this trial with our body, how we want to look, how we want to feel, how much energy we want. We go through the IsaBody challenge, right? We go through these 2 days of fasting on a cleanse days. These are all trials. What do? They add to your overall character. If you make it through a 1-day fast, you know you can do 2. If you make it through a 2-day fast, you know you can do it again. It adds to your character. If you struggle with your diet or exercise, I want you to know something. You are not alone. But if you struggle too much, this is the time to take a hard look in the mirror and overcome your temptations, because it's simply mind over matter. Okay? Sometimes it's a pattern interrupt. How many times have you guys there's something in the pantry that's calling your name. It's calling your name, whether it's the chips, whether it's the dessert when you're going out. Pattern interrupt, like Tony Robbins says, do something else. Don't sit there and just let yourself keep thinking about it. Get your mind focused on something else. Same thing with the gym. How many times have you sat there and says, geez, I know I'm supposed to work out today. I don't feel like it. I know I should be doing active some today. I don't feel like it. Just guess what? Just do it. Maybe sometimes don't even get up and go to the gym, because that allows you to give yourself one more excuse. Well, I have to drive there. I have to do this. You know what? Just start doing squats right there. Air squats. Start moving. Pattern interrupt. When you're indecisive and you're not sure what to do, pattern interrupt. Do it. When you have something on your mind, when the chips are calling you, when the ice cream's calling you, when the pizza's calling you, when your friends are ordering stuff out and you're not sure what to order and you want to be healthy, you know what? Pattern interrupt. Don't allow yourself to go through it. Occupy your mind with something else, okay? One of the things I want to talk about here is one of the greatest gifts we have, guys, as human beings. As human beings, one of the greatest gifts we have is the power over decision, the power over what we do. No one is controlling the buttons. No one's pushing. We're not little marionettes. No one's controlling the strings, taking the string and putting food in our mouth and making us do things. Own your life. I want to empower you guys to own your life, and that's the message I want you guys to give to every single person that you bring into this company. The greatest gift we have as a human being is the power to own our decisions, and especially in this country. We have decisions, more decisions than any other country ever and any other civilization, okay? We're not living back in the days of the Puritans when they came over and they were starving for food, okay? It's not like we have to eat whatever we can find to survive through a winter. There's no tigers chasing us. You have the ability to choose. Self-discipline is the root of everything. And that's why Isagenix is so intent on the personal development. Because without personal development, without healthy mind and body, then that's the key to making the choices. Why is Christine Pritchard running right now on the treadmill? Okay? Why is Jody Howard lifting weights? Why are you guys on this call? Why are you guys waking up with your shakes? Because you have the power to be better people. Now, there's a lot of people out there that don't have that yet. And that's where you come in. You are coaches. You are consultants. You are showing them a better way of life. It all comes down to this versus this. Here's a choice. Here's an outcome. If your choices are bad, your outcomes are bad. I can't sugarcoat that. You can't blame it. We live in a society that wants to blame everything. Oh, well, I had a bad set of genes. Oh, well, my mom was heavy. Oh, well, I live in a place where it's expensive to eat healthy. Organic is expensive. No, you have choices and then you do it. Christine Pritchard had a choice whether to get up or sleep in this morning. I had a choice whether to get up or sleep in and try and inspire you guys. Jody Howard is out there working out right now, and she had a choice, okay? And it's her job to inspire other people, okay? So we are equal parts coddling, but we don't want to do that for a long time. If someone has struggled with weight all their lives and we know that they haven't exercised, we don't want to try and force them into feeling guilty about it. I see so many people out there on other Isagenix teams trying to force people to feel guilty. And some of them are funny. Some of those memes, like the guy from The Hangover, he says, oh, you worked out? Well, did you die? That's funny. But for some people, working out is a huge thing. For some people, waking up in the morning and not having that fattening breakfast, which they always had their whole life, in which they become accustomed to, or not having that cup of coffee that has cream and sugar in it, something as simple as that, that's a big step. You have to be the positive reinforcement for them. You have to set the example. Remember, everything in Isagenix starts with a great product experience, okay? If you're not moving, if your story's not moving, if your body is not improving, if your energy levels aren't improving, how can you expect the people on your team to really follow you and say this works? Because right now, and then I'm going to let you guys get in on this conversation, right now we are in momentum. We're at the end of March. You got to realize everywhere, all over the country, people have been cold. It's been snowing. In some places, it's still snowing. Right now is the time we are in momentum. Everybody's cycles are up. Everybody has people asking them about signing up. Right now, if you look your best, if you feel your best, and you truly do that, but you're not just saying it, and you truly wake up every day with intention like this, and you are a light for everybody out there to see, this is the easy way to do it. We're not asking you to give up things. We're not asking you to do something crazy. We're not taking away. How many people have you put on Isagenix that came from other diet plans that said they were eating something ridiculous like 800 calories a day? And you looked at them saying, you're crazy. How would anybody expect you to be on that? We feed your body. All right? Your story is constantly moving. Get it out there. We don't want to overwhelm people with it, but damn it, if you're Juan Cruz and you look better than you've ever looked before, then you let people know. You let people know that you not only you look better, but you feel better. And it's infecting other areas of your life. It's not just about looking in the mirror and saying, look at my biceps. It's about going into work saying, I feel more confident. I have more energy. It's about going to the baseball fields or the football fields with your kids and looking at all the fathers and going, I look 10 years younger because I keep care of my body and my mind and my health. Okay? I want you guys, your mothers out there, your grandmothers out there, your grandfathers, your fathers, mothers. I want all of us. I'm 43 years old. I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to look 33. Okay? I want to look at the other 43-year-old dads and say, I'm doing it right. If you want to join me, good. Let's do it. Remember, we're not impervious to temptation. I do the opposite. I identify with people. When I meet people, I say, gosh, I know what it's like. I'm tempted all the time by the bad foods. And I don't want to give up this lifestyle because it's not realistic to say I'm going to give up the things I love for the rest of my life. I'm not going to give up chips. I'm not going to give up red wine. What I'm going to do is I'm going to control when I put things into my body. And I'm not going to go up and down and up and down. This should be the last thing that people look for. We recently got a guy in the program who's over 300 pounds. And I said, I want you to come to me in a year and say, this is the last time you're ever going to diet. Because you know someone that's been 300 pounds has tried everything in the book to lose weight. Everything. And they're sick and tired of looking for the next thing or the thing that's going to get them through this summer. And then what they're going to get through next summer. What's the next fad? No, Isagenix is the answer for the rest of your life. So that being said, guys, what are some of the things that you guys feel about temptation? What are some of the things that you have overcome? Whether it's getting into the gym, whether it's working with people who have always struggled. I know you guys have people on your team who are your projects, the people who have struggled and you're working with them, but they just can't find it. Sometimes if you just tell them, look, you look in the mirror. No one's pushing that fork in your mouth. No one's forcing you to sleep in. You are responsible. How do you guys feel? Let's get some feedback. Unmute yourselves.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
All right, let me hear you, Gus.
I think the success that I've had with people who have come on board and have overcome those things, and again, it's like everything else, is you got to start with why. You got to know why they want to do it. If you don't, if you're selling them a product, they'll start it and they'll fall off like they do everything else. And you let them know that. Say, this isn't a rebound. This isn't a diet.
Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. I want to ask you a question because you said something very important and I want people to know.
Yeah.
You got to ask people, especially, if they're in their middle ages and they've been struggling, you got to ask them a great question when you're enrolling them or when you're talking to them about Isagenix is, how many things have you done in the past? Get them to admit, get them to talk about how many times have you tried to lose this weight in the past, and get them to give you a real answer and think about it. And Gus, what would you say some of your people have been going through?
You mean with the stuff in the past?
Yeah.
They dealt with? Yeah, it's the rebound. You hear the rebound all the time. Oh, I did it. And here's the one thing that bothers me the most when I hear about that. And after they tell me what they did, I say, you know what? I said, when somebody comes to me, I said, I hear my friends are doing a 30-day challenge or a 90-day challenge or this program, and they're not even halfway through. And the only thing they say to me is, oh my God, I can't wait for this thing to be over. I'm like, you're on the wrong program. Boom. You should not feel that way halfway through. You should be more energized than ever and saying, wow, I feel amazing. I can't wait. I love my new lifestyle. If you're not saying that, you're in the wrong program, and we're not designed to – this program is not designed to make you feel that way. That I'm saying, hey, do this with me for 30 days. After 2 weeks, if you're saying, oh my God, I can't wait for this to be over, well, then this isn't the program for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, guys. Remember what Gus just said. That's so important. And I'm going to get to Liz 1 second. Gus, if people look at you, if I saw you right now, I can tell just by your face and just by your shoulders that you're fit. And if people that look at you now probably would never think, they probably always think, geez, this guy's a CrossFit guy. He's been ripped all his life. And you have to show those pictures when you had a fat face, I'm sorry to admit it, and you had a big gut, and you've never gone back. You haven't yo-yoed. You haven't gone back. You've managed, and you didn't always look like this. You have to remind people, if you guys don't know what Gus looked like, if you haven't seen his before and afters, his whole body's changed and he's managed to stay there. Now, yeah, the easy way out was, I'm sure if he didn't work out and if he didn't do isogenics, that he would go right back to his old habits. But again, he has the willpower. And Gus, before we go to Liz, how has this body affected your everyday life? Your confidence? Everything. Tell me about it.
Everything. My confidence, the way I walk, the way I talk. Guys, the way I feel, and the way I avoid, and the way I come back to getting on track after a tough weekend or something like that, where we fall a little off track, we have a wedding or something, is I remind myself why I started. I never want to feel the way I used to feel again. I never want to feel that way again. It kills me. Like, I get emotional and upset when I remember how bad I felt, how much I hurt, and I help people remind themselves of how they're feeling and to never want to feel that way again. That is so, so important that you start with that why. When someone comes to me and they want to lose 30 pounds or 40 pounds, I'm like, that's really awesome. We'll get to that goal. Why is that number important to you? Why 30 pounds? It's a very specific number. Why is that important? How is your life going to be different in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 5 years if we get you to that goal, which we will? So really dig in deep and remember why you started.
Awesome. Yeah, and we can all identify with Gus. Everybody knows that life is a struggle. When sin enters your life or temptation, I don't want to get too religious on you guys, but it's always a struggle. The things that you're going to struggle with outside of just regular things that you struggle with are always going to be there. And it comes down to a healthy mind. So I really appreciate, those are wise words. Liz, what did you have to comment on?
So I just wanted to ask Gus, something resonated with me, Gus, when you were talking about kind of making that flip from, and David, you were talking about this too. You start out coddling or really wanting to bring people along. And I want to be not gentle or overly aggressive, but at what point do you switch over, Gus, to kind of the tough love, situation when you know someone is a self-sabotager, when you know they're going to say, well, if this doesn't, 30 days is like, I've got one, it's like, I can't wait till this 30 days is over. And when you said that, I was just like, oh man, okay. So how do you tough love them into lifestyle, not a diet?
It's simple. You pre-frame them right from the beginning. When you start asking them the questions and getting to know them and asking them why this is important, and you get through those steps, they now have built this trust with you because, wow, this is different. I've never been asked these questions before. So when you get to that level of trust, then they become like a family member almost, where you can tell them on a little bit more serious tone, where you can flip that switch and say, you know what, you are going to have to do things a little bit differently. We're not going to deprive you. We are not telling you you can't have anything ever again. I said, but we are going to have to moderate some things, and we are going to have to make some real changes. And when you start to feel better, you'll know why. And you're going to end up loving this. And it's okay that if you're not perfect and you fall off a little bit here and there, but we're going to do our best, okay, to avoid those things, because we never want to rebound again. Because now you know what they've done. You know why they've rebounded. You know where their struggles have been. You always ask them, what are the biggest challenges you faced in those other things? You got to get to know your people. And once you get to know them and they know that you care, yes, then you can give them tough love. David can smack me in the mouth. Him and Angelique have smacked me in the mouth more than once. And they can do that because I trust them. And I know they're doing it for the better good of me. Now, if I'm trying to sell you a shake or an Ionic Supreme and I tell you, you need to drink this, you can't do that shit you used to do, they're not going to listen to you. They're going to be offended. But if they know you care and you ask them all those questions beforehand and you build that relationship, then it's okay. You can smack them around a little bit and be honest with them.
Okay. Yeah, and remember where you come from, Liz. This is what I had a conversation yesterday. Some of you guys know Connie Sato on our team. Connie Sato is the nicest, most soft-spoken, she's just this person that is super duper nice. So you got to remember, you are who you are, and don't look at yourself from outside. People are going to look at you as somebody nice. And Connie, we told her to have this conversation with somebody who was giving her the same thing, going back and forth. And Connie goes, David, I tried, and she was inspired by Angelique. I'm not going to take the credit. She goes, Angelique inspired me to use tough love with this woman. And I told her, and I said, no, you're sabotaging yourself, and you need to do this, because where are you going to be if you don't? And you're just making excuses. Now, Connie got this courage up, and the person said, wow. And she knew that Connie was a nice person. So nothing's going to change about that. And it worked. And all of a sudden, she got this confidence. Now, you're always going to balance that between your personality and then finding this thing to really push people in and work with them. So she did that. And I just want to say that if you're doing that, you're going to have the ability to really change people's lives. And there was another story, I'll think of it in a second, but that was just one of the ones that came to us. And she said, yes, I realize that. And this is what I want to say. People find their emotional home. So you'll notice when you go to some of the bigger think tanks like the Tony Robbins, they talk about your emotional home. Well, eating, that is an emotional home. Exercising is an emotional home. Remember with exercising, as we get older, some of you guys are going to hate me for this. As we get older, you cannot continue to do steady state cardio. If you're a big time runner and you're just running, all you're doing is you're balancing out your calories that you're expending versus the calories that you're taking in, and it'll eventually catch up with you. That's why it's so important that you shift your metabolism with your diet and, more importantly, weight resistance training, okay? So if running is your emotional home and that's what you've always been doing, you are going to plateau unless you continue to work with weights and change the composition of your muscles. Gus, I think you would be equally accredited to talk about this. And guys, I'm not saying don't run. If that's what you love to do, my God, that's your passion, good. But if that's all you're doing and you're not incorporating weight training and you're not changing the body composition and your muscle mass, then you will always be struggling with calories in, calories out. Calories in, calories out. You have to change the composition of your muscle mass. Your emotional home goes for two things. It goes for food, and it also goes for what your favorite exercise is, okay? Whatever you think is the best exercise, whatever you fall back to, I'm guessing that's the one you feel most comfortable in. And unless you continue to push your boundaries and mix up your exercising, your body will go into this state of homeostasis. You'll go to your emotional home and say, I really just like running. That's all I'm going to do. So my body's never going to change. Sometimes it's like me. I'll go the opposite. I just like the lifting heavy, 2 to 3 reps. Well, guess what? At 40 years old, that wasn't working for me anymore. Going in the gym and bench pressing and just doing heavy benching was killing my joints, and it wasn't changing my metabolism. So I had to speed up my workouts. I can't go back to my emotional home with lifting. Okay, Gus, what do you guys think about that? And anybody else can come in on that emotional home too.
I agree 100%. The body wants consistency in its nutrition, but it wants variation in its mentality.
Boom.
It needs to be changed. It needs to be guessing. And that's how I tell people all the time. Be consistent with your food and your nutrition. Be varied in your workouts. That's why I love CrossFit. CrossFit's not for everybody, but the idea is that you change it up. You got to do something different. So for me, I actually, I need to run a little bit more, maybe get a little bit more, because I'm always like speeding, weightlifting. But you have to add those weights because you got to tear those muscles up in a different way. Okay, you got to confuse the body. It's gonna react. I'm using more dumbbells now because I never used a lot of dumbbells. I've been a barbell guy. Now I'm using these stabilizer muscles. I lifted these light weights, and I'm like so sore today. I'm like, what is wrong with me? What happened? I do a million push-ups, do a million things with pressing barbells. I use these dumbbells, and now I know my body's gonna change again.
Yeah.
I keep guessing it change. Also, when you build that muscle mass, your body in a resting state will start to burn more calories. So you start lifting weight, you start putting on more lean mass from it, you're going to start burning more fat while you rest. So it's going to get you over those plateaus. So change it up, even if it's a couple of days a week. I have marathon athletes work out with me. They don't do full-time CrossFit, but they come 1 to 3 days a week, depending on their training schedule, just to mix it up, and it's improved all of their times, and it's helped them feel a lot better. So mix it up.
You have to change your body composition. You have to lift weights in order to use up more calories during the day. Remember, muscle takes up more calories. If you're just doing cardio, this is the biggest thing for a lot of people. My nephew, who's an adult male, big guy, 6'3", 250 pounds. He goes, so let me ask you a question. Should I just do more cardio? No. More cardio is not the answer. If you change your body composition and you add more muscle, like Gus said, you will consume more calories at rest. I always say if you have genetic twins, and this genetic twin has a higher muscle ratio, a lower body fat percentage, this genetic twin is going to burn more calories while they're watching TV than this genetic twin, because muscle takes up more calories. It burns more. So if you're going to put time in the gym, if you have limited time, lift weights. Make sure you're getting sore. And then if you want to also get a cardiovascular exercise, just lift weights faster. That's what I've been doing. Anything else? I know I'd like to take up 30 minutes. I think this has been very valuable. If anyone has anything that they'd like to add, we have about 5 minutes to share.
Hey, David, might as well add something real quick. You guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Okay. I love to, as people get older, we talk about your joints and we talk about the stress that's on your, your body parts. And so I like to incorporate burst training or HIIT training, high intensity stuff. And I use the machines that are, basically they're easier on your joints. Could be arc trainer, could be a elliptical, where we're doing short durations for a period of time and then a rest. So it's a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio. So I might be doing a minute at a certain, revolutions per minute, or even on a bike wise, then popping off. We see the most, the most gains with that for people. And then they're putting less stress on their joint. Plus the science shows that you're burning more calories throughout the day. You're keeping your core temperature up. You're burning just as many as you would if you're doing long durations of cardio, but you're not plateauing and your body doesn't get in that mode. So that's something I always like to incorporate for people.
Yeah, you know what? I like it because remember, we're talking about all ages of people here. And I think a majority of the people that come in Isagenix, some of them haven't exercised. And when we talk about incorporating it, remember, some people have never done it and they're scared to death of exercising, and it's not a lot of us have been raised on it. John, you've been, in exercise all your life. So for you, it's part of your life. We have to realize not everybody's like this. So if Sister Madonna Booter, this is a story that I posted. If you're looking for inspiration, she's the triathlon nun, and she started exercising, I think, in her late 40s, early 50s. And then she's done like 80 triathlons since then. So it's never too late. That's why you guys have to inspire people by what you do. You don't want to be the person that intimidates them. You want to identify them. Like I said to you earlier, you don't want to say, I'm impervious to temptation. I'm impervious to the things. You want to relate to people. We're all human. We all struggle with weight. We all struggle with getting up to work out. So you want to say, hey, look, I'm just like you. But if I can inspire you, if we can do a 2-day cleanse together, if we can do a 90-day challenge together, if we can do a 16-week challenge together, all of a sudden you don't feel alone. And like Gus said, this isn't just, what do you want to do? You want to do this and go back to your old ways? Do you want to look the same way last year, or do you want a permanent life change? Good information, John. This is what we need to talk about more of, guys. We need to realize that if people have a great product experience, their body's changing, their minds are going to change. When we show the before and afters, I used to show this before and after of this guy, Mike. And I always talked about his face, his shoulders, his confidence, his aura about him, not just his belly changing, but the way his smile changed in his after picture, the way he looked younger, the way he held his frame tighter. Okay. I want you guys to have great product experiences. Jody, how do you feel today after your workout? Tell us.
I'm feeling pretty good. I actually had something to say. I have a couple of friends here that they just run. Wayne has actually coined them as fitaholic, because we see what they post, what they eat on the weekend, and they pretty much are running all week to get rid of what they're eating on the weekend. It's what you just said, calories in, calories out. You never see them doing any weight training. They're never at the gym. All they do is run. And yeah, they're running 8, 10, 12 miles, but you don't see any body change.
Right.
And it's just about education. These particular ones I'm talking about I've tried to reach out to them and give them some education, and they're not acceptable to it right now, but I know if you know.
Well, it's just like any relationship. It's just like a love relationship. People go back to, again, where they feel more comfortable with. If you'll notice, have you ever noticed, and I hate to make the correlation, that people that are in abusive relationships, they tend to find another abusive relationship.
Right.
Do you think they want to be in an abusive relationship? No. It's just that's where their emotional home takes them. So people who have struggled with weight or exercise all their lives are going to go back to that. Now, I don't want to come off as someone who's bashing runners. I think running is a great thing, but you have to, just like me, I love to point the spotlight back on me. I was a guy who would go into the gym, bench press, take 3 minutes off, bench press, take 3 minutes off. And as I hit 40, my joints were hurting. I had to have a shoulder surgery. My body wasn't changing because my metabolism was shifting. So I had to hire a personal trainer. I had to start working out faster. I had to do the things that were outside of my comfort zone in order to keep getting the gains. Okay, so I want you guys to be a light. Jody, just real quick. Okay, Christine.
I just wanted to,
go ahead. Tell us about the struggle.
I like this runner speech this morning. It's awesome. But I just want to make a note that I did my 30 minutes of leg workout, strength training before I jumped on the treadmill. So,
and I know you swim too. You cross train.
And I swim and I bike too because it's triathlon season. So, but I agree with the weight training. I just really committed to it 1st of January because I have hated strength training. I hate it. And so I've made that commitment now with the new gym to be 4 or 5 times a week and rotate, every muscle group. And it is making a huge, huge difference. Absolutely. So, awesome. So don't judge me for being all sweaty here today. Sorry, team.
I love your transparency. Jody, real quick, wrap it up. Just tell us about your struggle in terms of the span of it. And, you look better now than you've ever looked in your life. I've known you, for close to 10 years now. Considerably different than when I first met you. I mean, night and day. So just tell us about someone who, has had to work for every gain that they've had.
Well, it's all in your head, really. It all starts there. And that's the hardest part for me because I'm an emotional eater. And I had tried to do the working out in the gym 6-7 days a week and killing myself and losing 10 pounds and being stuck. And it wasn't until I realized that nutrition was the answer that things started to change. And wish I would have found that a little sooner. It saved a lot of head struggle. But even knowing the nutrition, the head stuff's still there. You still have to stay consistent because I still have, especially after I broke my foot, you would think that would be the time that you really have to be on point with your nutrition because you can't work out. And my head junk wasn't letting me do that. And I gained 10 pounds when I broke my foot. So it's reprogramming your head and realizing how to do this. Just do it. It has to come from within. Yep. And you have to have support.
There you go. Support.
Working out is not the answer. I mean, yes, that's a major component to seeing gains and being successful. That it starts in your head and in the kitchen where the most important parts are. And guys, when you realize that, it'll all come together and work together, and you'll get the results you want to see.
So she said something that's so important there. It becomes with support, and that's why we are a support group. That's why it's important to get people involved. That's why it's important to check up with them. It's important to get them to meetings. Important to get them on ISA Nation. Now, as we wrap up, I told people my story the other day. I forget where I was. And I said, I told when we met Liz, when we met on Saturday with the group here locally, I said, I started off as a kid who had to play. Any guys who ever played football knows when you're young, you go by pounds. So in 8th grade, all the kids in my grade in 8th grade were on the 140-pound football team. David Norrie played on the 90-pound football team in 8th grade with the 6th graders because I was not 90 pounds in 8th grade. So I started working out because kids called me ET because I had this big head, this skinny neck, and I was this sack of bones all my life. My sister used to call me bird chest because I had this bird concave chest. So guess what? I'm 43. Guess who is always in my head every time I go into the gym? Despite a muscle, I'm always that 14-year-old kid who is the skinniest kid in class who can't play with the bigger kids because he doesn't weigh enough. So whether you're that or whether it's the weight has been a problem, and that's why we see so many problems with people eating and anorexia and bulimia, because no matter how skinny somebody gets, in their head, in their mind, they're always the same way. So as we leave today, as we wrap up this session, guys, I want you to realize, get people enrolled in the Healthy Mind and Body. Start to talk to people and identify with them. Go to them and ask them where their emotional home is, what they've always struggled with. Ask them if they want a permanent solution or if they want to keep looking for season after season for the next thing that they're going to fad diet that's going to help them lose weight. Know that they can come to you, that you're going to be what? An accountability partner. An accountability partner. You are not going to coddle them. You are not going to say it's okay to be in the same place. You're going to love them and you're going to give them love, but you're going to say, look, everything that goes into your mouth, every decision you make is a reflection on you. You cannot blame this on your genetics. You cannot blame this on where you live, on anything in your lifestyle. Okay, everybody has an extra hour in the day that they can devote to training. Everybody can make a healthier choice, and everybody can do this if they just have the support. So I'm gonna post this video. I think you guys each have someone on your team that you can tag in it, that it would be really productive for them to listen to and get the opinions. I think we shared a lot of great things, and I think we have to keep revisiting these types of conversations if we all want to be inspirational products of the product. So I want to thank you all and hope you have a great day. Start off your weekend, and remember, the weekends are where champions are made, right? The weekends are where this doesn't mean we take off until Monday and we start up again on Monday. Weekends are where champions are made. Have an awesome day, guys. Give me a thumbs up.